Good afternoon. So, a few more awake now. The first session, I saw some tired head. But I'm sure you are super duper charged for this security feature session in Office 365. Security. It's a wide area. Super wide. So we could talk about mostly anything. But I've chosen a few things that I think represent both a bit of the unknown and things that I think are really, really important. So what is security? What words do you think about when you hear security? I think someone thinks of fear, or it feels a bit unsafe and a bit worrying. What do you think about security? I think about security that it has been about firewalls. It has been about strong passwords. It has been about a lot of things. Antivirus and that kind of stuff. But that's not my view anymore. So today we're going to look at some, and I say some because there are so many features, but some of them in Office 365 we're going to have a look at today. And how they can help your organization. And how to set up and tune them. And of course, to help you be safe. I love pictures, don't you? I have the most fun when I'm looking for the pictures for my slides. Yep. So, my name is Magnus Björk. I work mostly with Office 365, but I started off with Exchange when there was still ice over the Nordic countries. So this passion gave me the MVP award way back. I've been awarded 6 times, hoping for a 7th. But today I'm an Office 365 MVP, opposite to Exchange as I used to be. I think someone heard before that I say I've been working with 8 Exchange versions and seeing Office 365 as my 9th, because it is a change. And it's a huge change when it comes to security, because the security features we get in Office 365 are super cool. And it's not like we couldn't have them on-prem, but it seems to be the case that very, very few customers have them. Because it was quite time-consuming to set it up. And now it's a checkbox for many things. And to me, that is super excited. I love when Microsoft people are on stage. I'm super excited. But this is really super exciting. So we can do security in what my fashion, at least, because I think we should protect other things, but I will be there very soon. And as some of you might heard this morning, this is my 4th NIC, my 3rd time as a speaker. I'm very proud to be back. Please follow my blog, altitude365.blog, or follow me on Twitter. I'm Mailmastern. That's a legacy name. And yes, we have an Altitude 365 Twitter handle as well. So people have asked me about why did you go from Exchange to Office 365? And that's a funny question. And it's not only because I was tired of it and I could do it with my left hand in sleep and so on. No, that's not the fact. I wasn't that good. But the things we're going to look at today, where so many features are actually done for us, and we can really just use them and provide value to organization. That is, to me, really, really cool. And it's so much more fun to sit in a discussion with a customer about, wow, we really see the value of this, opposite to, okay, how much memory can we have in one Exchange box? Because we never used like 0.5% of what could be in that box, but we spend hours of talking about IOPS and gigabytes and megahertz and that kind of stuff. And yes, it could be fun, but Office 365 is actually more fun. So I started Altitude 365 a year ago. We are happy and proud to be partners on the highest levels on cloud and so on. I have some super cool and very skilled co-founders. And we have such a passion for this. So yeah, had to say that it's so much fun. Security in Office 365. You can't even think about security in Office 365 without visiting this site. It's the Office 365 Trust Center. And yesterday I attended a session, I think it was Peter, who talked about EOP, Exchange Online Protection. And there were some questions at the end. And we kind of answered then, and we can have more complete answers today. But the funny thing is, I went here, and 2 of the 3 questions were answered within 2 clicks on this web page. So if you have any questions about security in Office 365, this is really the place to go. Yes, that being said, I'm going to give you my view on security today. So I say mobility is the new normal. So what is mobility? It used to be a laptop or a phone or something like that. And it's still that kind of is mobility as well. But we have mobility of the data now. So our data is stored in so many places, but it's almost always synced. Like, think of OneDrive, for example. This gives me the impression or the view that it's not the port numbers or the firewalls or the switches or whatever on the network layer we're going to secure. We need to secure the data. And we need, to some extent, to secure devices. But we really need to focus on the data. And I'm happy to say this is exactly the approach that Microsoft is taking in Office 365. How many of you have more than one device that you use on an everyday basis? Yeah, that's like all of you. So if you have one laptop that is super duper patched and you have all the high-tech stuff on it to protect you and one without, that's kind of the no meaning, right? But if we secure the data that gets synced to all of your devices. We're home, and that's my view on it. So we don't only need to have the things we needed before with secure passwords and so on. We will actually deal a bit with how to make passwords stronger today. But the devices but it all comes down to the data. And this is funny. There are 12,000 laptops lost in US airport every week. Hopefully it wasn't the one with the super duper high-tech stuff on it, because, well, or hopefully it was. So we need to protect data. I think I said it enough now. So how do we do it? How can we deal with this? Well, Microsoft's approach to your data is that it's yours. It's up to you to protect it, because Microsoft will hand you the tools, but they will not protect your data. And I think it's beautiful that it is your data, opposite to some of the competitors that, yeah, this slide is pretty much written to pick Google in the eye or something. But it is your data, and you must protect it with all the means necessary. So, who attended my session this morning with no demos? The demo gods didn't like that. They actually hated it. So my tenant in Office 365 is, since pretty much the beginning of that session, I guess, a super duper spammer tenant. So we're gonna have fun today. It's gonna be a lot of live stuff in my production or our production tenant, because there is absolutely no use of having a tenant that someone thought of as a spammer tenant. I've been sending a lot of strange and encrypted mails just to give you the cool demos. But the more the merrier, the more that happens live, the more fun, isn't it? And you are more than welcome to just shout out, ask me questions, and if you think, how about that security feature or that, join the conversation, because I want this to be I want you to be involved. So I'm going to start off with one of the features that's been around for a couple of months. It's the multi-factor authentication. How many had a look at multi-factor authentication in Office 365? Not too many. I love that. That's cool. So the thing is that we can only make passwords so secure, and there's a limit of how long the password can be in Office 365, and there's absolutely a limit of how long passwords can a user remember, and they won't use the long sentences we've been telling them to do. So we need something else, something to enhance the security of just username and password. So in Office 365, you can use Asha Adm Multi-Factor Authentication. And who set MFA up in an on-premise environment? Anyone who uses? Yeah. So did you do it in less than 5 minutes? No. Did you do it in less than 10 clicks? No. And this is the beauty of Office 365. So I'm going to set it up completely from the beginning for a user right now. And then I'm going to show you that it works. And anyone with a timer, test me. So, this is the, no it's not. Hold on. Duplicate. Yes, there we go. Sorry about that. This is my tenant where I will, this has just been created. I have a very few users. I think I have 2 or 3. And one of them is Anna Clara. So, she doesn't have multi-factor authentication at the moment, so the complete setup for doing this is marking her as there and set up MFA. Sorry, here we do that. Click enable, and we are good to go. We will now, if she had used Outlook before, had another dialog box with a long password that she can use for her application, such as Outlook and so on, which is a password that won't expire. But since she haven't logged on with Outlook yet, she didn't get that. And that password you can enter in your phone, and you can enter that in Outlook and so on. We can get that afterwards as well. And we have some settings on that user. So what does it look like when she wants to sign in to Office 365? It looks like this. This is the first time you log in. Oh, sorry, that's in Sweden. But this says your administrator have asked you to configure some additional security. Please set it up. Sorry about that. And I will need to enter a country. I go for Sweden and my phone number. And I can choose between text me or call me, and I go for text me. And hopefully we get a text. There we go. Three 81533. Verify. And here we get the app password that I was talking about. So this is a password we can enter into. Sorry, that I was wrong before. You don't get it when you enable it. That was completely wrong. You get it when you enable it for the user. Sorry about that. You can get it via PowerShell though. And then we're done. So every time Anna Clara wants to log on to the portal, she's being prompted with the fact that she needs to enter the confirmation or the verification she gets via text. And this is absolutely for free. There's no charge for sending the text and so on. So super and very, very, and it enhances the security a lot. Any questions about MFA? Yes. Who is talking? I can't see. Up there, thank you. Yes. If we can, the question is, can we pre-configure country? Was that it?
Yeah, country and choice of cell phone.
Not at the moment, no. Sorry to say.
If you populate all the numbers in your on-prem
Yeah,
factory,
yeah.
you can use the DIRSync, for example.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. If you have the user's phone numbers in your AD and you use DIRSync, the phone numbers will actually be populated all the way. So that there will be a preferred choice of phone number and therefore country code. But you need to be careful about how you enter the syntax for entering the phone numbers in your AD are important. And I think they should be, and anyone who wants that information sends me a mail and I will ask them. I was hoping for the question, how does this work for other people, like probably a lot of you, in specific cases? How many of you are administrators? Yeah, quite a lot. I think all administrative accounts should always have MFA. But it does present a challenge today that soon will be solved. Because can you think of a scenario when it's kind of hard to use MFA? PowerShell, exactly. When you use PowerShell against your tenant, today it doesn't get MFA. So you need to set up a PowerShell admin account without MFA. That is soon solved. And I hope I was allowed to say that. Yeah, I think I was. This is another super cool feature. Document fingerprinting. How many have heard of it? No, it's a kind of unknown security feature. But I love it. It's so simple. And I would love it even more if my slides didn't go to hell, because then I would have a super cool demo on it, but I lost my form. So I'm going to show you a short video. But the fact that document fingerprinting is used for is that if you have a form in your on your SharePoint or whatever, or something you mail in, like your expense report or something, you take that form and then you put it into Exchange, into DLP. You will see that in the video very, very soon. And Exchange will take a look at it and see that, okay, I get the report and I see that it can vary on different places. But now I want to keep track on all of these so they don't get sent out. Maybe you don't want your expense report to be public. I know for sure that from some travelings, I don't want it to be public. And yes, this is what it looks like. Oh, do we have audio? Sure. Sorry about that. There, first one. Thank you.
Sensitive information to the wrong people can be costly and embarrassing for your company. Fortunately, there's a way to identify standardized forms that might contain this information so you can flag them before they go out. We call this document fingerprinting. For example, I've uploaded this blank employee information form, but I could upload a tax form or any other standard form used in my organization. Now I'll go to the Exchange Admin Center to create a document fingerprint of the form. I'll go to the Compliance Management section and choose Data Loss Prevention, commonly referred to as DLP. Now I'll select Manage Document Fingerprints. This is my list of available document fingerprints. I'll click the plus symbol to create a new one and give it a name and description. I'll use this name later to locate it in the list of sensitive information types. Now I'll click the plus symbol to upload the blank form from earlier. When you upload a file, make sure it's in one of the supported file types. DLP supports the same file types as standard transport rule scanning, such as most Office files, PDFs, and image files. You can find the full list at aka.ms/filetypes. Once I upload the file, I can see the form in the document list. Each document fingerprint can contain multiple forms. I can add a form or remove one from the list whenever I want. Now I'll save the fingerprint. For the second step, I'll create a new custom policy that looks for documents matching the fingerprint I just created. I'll click the plus symbol and choose New Custom DLP Policy. I'll give the policy a name and description and choose whether to turn it on or not, and then choose the mode. It's a good idea to start the policy in test mode to make sure that the policy performs.
I pause there. Have you dealt with DLP policies before? Since Exchange 2014, you can use these different modes to test them. And what is the test? Well, they get logged, and you get policy tips if you want, meaning in Outlook or in OA, when you get a match of, for example, this form that we will see very soon, you get a mail tip saying, okay, we got a hit on this. So you can actually test it without doing something more than just testing it.
As intended. I'm going to test this policy with policy tips, which will show policy tips to users in Outlook 2013, Outlook web app, and OA for devices, such as iPhone and Android. I'll save the policy. Now I'll edit the policy I just created to add the document fingerprint rule. I'll click the policy, then click Edit. Now I click Rules, and I'll add a rule with the New button. I have the option of creating my own, or I can choose a pre-configured rule. If I choose to notify the sender, they'll see a policy tip that lets them know they're about to send potentially sensitive information, but they'll still be able to send the email. If I'd rather block the email, or require the user to provide a business justification before sending, then I can choose one of those options from the list. I'll choose the option to notify the sender, since this is the least intrusive option for end users. It also lets users decide what to do with the information. Notice that a few of the fields, such as the name and when the rule is applied, are already filled out. However, I still need to select the sensitive information type I want to detect with this policy, which in this case is the document fingerprint. I'll do that by clicking Select Sensitive Information Types. I'll click the plus symbol, and here's the document fingerprint that I created earlier. I'll select it, click Add at the bottom, and click OK. I could add more sensitive information types if I want, but this one will do for now, so I'll just move on. Now I'll configure the rest of the rule and save it. To test the policy in Outlook web app, I'll try emailing this completed employee information form to someone outside my organization. You can see that the policy tip is warning me that my email potentially contains sensitive information. If I remove the attachment, the warning will disappear. So with DLP, not only can you protect against leaking...
Yeah, that's DLP and document fingerprinting. I think that's a really cool feature. And DLP actually has a lot of cool features. In Sweden, we have kommuner, like local governments, and many of those are interested in Office 365. And it's a huge thing with PII, or what we in Sweden call pool. I think that's so funny because when we are in Norway. But it's in Swedish, So, and it's not a verb. No, it's a law. Still funny. Laughing inside. Well, so Microsoft has a built-in DLP policy for personal number or social security numbers in Swedish. But it's only made up in one format, and it could be entered year, month, date, dash for numbers. Or it could be entered with the year, the 1900 or 2000 year first. So it could be in different format. And it's a huge thing for these local governments. So we created a DLP policy that actually catches all the different versions of how you can enter them. And that was super popular. We got lots of questions about how they can detect that so they don't send any private information out. Another thing that I find is super cool, is Asha rights management. It's of course we have rights management on-prem as well that we can enable, but again, how many has done that? Very, very few. But in Office 365, it's so simple. It's actually an enable button, and then you're good to go. So you can protect your data. You can say that, okay, this must not be printed, this can't be forwarded, this will expire within a certain date, and it's super helpful. You can send an email to the wrong DL, but only the people that are allowed to view the content can view the content. So we use that all the time for sensitive data. So how do we activate it? Well, to find our demo tenant again, do you see? Yes. This is how hard it is. We go to service settings, we have rights management, we click manage, and then we click enable. But in this case, it already is activated. So we could deactivate it, but I don't want to do that. Kind of simple, huh? Yes, is the answer to my rhetorical questions. And we have some advanced features for Azure as well. But just to enable the simple stuff, we don't have to do that. So what can we do with this enable? Well, we can define different policies. So we can say like a view only or kind of thing, or must not be outside the organization or whatever. There's a lot of things we can use this for. Do not print, do not forward, and such a thing. Super helpful. And we can also activate something else. There we go. We can activate a part of the RMS that is message encryption. If you want to send data to someone outside of your organization and protect it, if you're a bank and you want to deliver messages to your customers in a secure fashion, they don't have a mailbox in your tenant or in your organization. They have their Outlook.com or, in worst case, Gmail address. So how can we send protected data to them? Encrypted. Well, we can, and this is how you enable it. Sorry for the two first. I couldn't get all the code into one slide, so I just redid them with where they had already been run, so that's why we have the warnings. So it's super simple. You just have to wait for a second. And I will show that in just a second. So these are the encryption methods we got in Office 365. The message encryption, that's the one I'm going to demo really soon. We have the Information Rights Management, RMS, and we have SMIME. And we had a question yesterday about SMIME, so that's why I brought in this slide. Is the one who asked that question around? No? Okay, so I think the question was, where is it encrypted? And in the SMIME case, which was the question, it's on the client. So, demo of the message encryption. And this is funny, because now we will have to use my, my own tenant. So, I think I should be... sorry, maybe I'm not logged on. Bad mistake. No. So I log on to Outlook. Come on. And right now, you're about to see a picture from one of those times where I don't want my expense report to be public. Oh, did I get to the wrong place? I think I did. Let's do it like this. Yes, that's from outside of Vegas. What? Yeah, so there we go. Let's go to Outlook and send a new mail. And you're not supposed to look at the others. So let's send something to Demomania. I tried to worship the demo gods at least. Secret. And enter some text. You will all know that. And choose to have this as confidential. And then we send the message. And in Outlook.com, there should be we got the mail. That is secret. So we can't read it. It says you have received an encrypted message. And this is a DLP policy saying that all mail that are marked with sensitive should be encrypted. I will show you in a tenant how you enable this very soon. So I can't read it, but I can say open it, download, and I open with Internet Explorer, and then I get asked to sign in to see the encrypted message. And what is then the credentials I'm going to sign in with? Since this is a Microsoft account, I sign in with that account, and that's all I need to do. So I log on with my same credentials, and you see that it's the Demomania Outlook.com. And we can read the message. That's pretty cool, that you can send encrypted messages to anyone, any SMTP recipient. But you say, okay, that was a Microsoft account. There must be something hiding in the background. And yes, there is. So I'm going to do this one more time and send it to a bit trickier place, to Gmail. So we send a secret mail again, enter the same interesting text, and hope that we get it here, because this is really cool. What will happen now is that we don't need Oh, sorry. My mistake. You saw what I forgot, didn't you? Mark it as sensitive. Secret 2. Let's not do the same mistake again. Confidential. And you saw that there was a DLP rule kicking in there as well. So back to Gmail. So we have received an encrypted message. Same as last time, but if we click this mail, this is not a Microsoft account, so we can't use that to ghosts. But at the bottom here, don't want to sign in, get a one-time password to view the message. And we get the message in our mailbox really soon. There we go. You get a one-time password. We use that one-time password to sign in, and we can also check the box that this is a private computer, so if we get many of these, we don't have to enter the one-time password for another 12 hours. But that would destroy my demo, so. And there we go. Come on, that was cool, wasn't it? I think that's a really cool feature. And that's one of the things you get with RMS. If we want other stuff, because the RMS protection stays with the message. So if I couldn't forward that to someone else and they could read it, so they couldn't. So that stays with the data. And it stays with the data if I click a file on this is on my hard drive. So I have a text file here, demo, and I can protect in place with any of my altitude policies. So I can say that this is a Office 365 confidential mail file, sorry. And if I would then mail that file somewhere, insert the file, computer demo, come on, send us an attachment, just send it. We have another mail with no subject, but we can't do anything with this. It's encrypted, there's nothing we can do with it. And you see there's added a P in front of the TXT. It means it's protected. And these are super simple things that we can do with just a few clicks. Sorry, I should show you how you enable. You can, as I showed you in this slide, this is how you enable it through PowerShell. And after you've done this in PowerShell, you need to go to your tenant. In my case, the demo tenant. And you go to Exchange. Protection. No, sorry, compliance. Data loss prevention. And you will soon see my DLP policies that says I'm going to encrypt. What? Even more fun. So Did I get that wrong? Yes, I did. Sorry. Because I didn't do it as a DLP policy. I did it. It's a transport rule. But this transport rule says that all messages that are sent to outside the organization with sensitivity with confidential should be encrypted with Office 365 message encryption. So that's what it does. And this is takes like 2 minutes if you do it for the first time to set up this rule. Super, super simple. And you could have any conditions like encrypted in the subject or whatever sent to someone. So really, really simple and adds a lot of value. So, that was, yes, RMS. We could protect any data. If it's on a USB device or in an email or whatever, the protection always stays with the data. That's the beauty of it. So we are protecting the data, as I said in the beginning, that we must do. Yes, that was my slides and my demos, because one of my demos actually went up in smoke when my prepared tenant was marked as a spammer tenant. So, questions around security, and I'm hoping for a lot of security-related questions now. Come on. We're all friends here. No one has any issues with security in Office 365. This is great. Best audience ever.
I was just a little bit curious about OSM box. Don't you have that on the slide?
Sorry?
Hardware security module. Don't you have that on the slide, or did I miss something?
You probably missed that.
Okay.
No?
It is a HSM box. You can store private keys during certificates.
Okay. No, I don't have one of those. But it sounds cool. I want one. If it's a gadget, I want one.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. But I think you had it on the slide, so I'm just curious. Can you use that in Office 365, or did I miss something?
Did I have that on the slide?
Maybe I have too much beer yesterday.
Where was that?
You just passed it 4 slides ago.
I did? Was it here?
No. Next one, I think. Before that as well. There, at the top.
Yeah, okay. Yes. That's not but to be honest, I don't know. But what a great questions. I love questions when I don't know the answer. Even better when I'm wrong about something and someone tells me I'm wrong. That's the thing I like most, because then I learn, and I'm very humble about being wrong. So this will be on Twitter. Yes. The answer to this will be on Twitter. So I hope you're all following at Mailmastern. I will totally look into this, and you will have an answer. Probably not today, because I have a super stretched schedule to get to the airport, but it will.
You know, the good thing with a HCSM box is, because I work a lot with PKI structure, and then you can store the private keys on that module, so you have it safe anyway. So that's the box.
The thing is,
It's the same thing.
yes, I totally get what it is. Since this is an Azure feature, I find it hard that we can have a device on-prem where we can. But again, what a funny thing! I love this. Oh, you should have this in your eval. I had something on my slides that I wasn't aware about. Yes, that's ridiculous of me. Okay, any other questions? And how many are you consultants? How many of you go out to customers and try to sell Office 365? Don't you get, is this secure? What's the legal requirements and stuff like that? I get the questions a lot, especially since Snowden, and I guess you have the same thing in Norway, but we have FRA, the defense that are gathering intelligence. As soon as we send email outside of Sweden, they are allowed to look, and inside they are not. So they, of course, doesn't do that. Do you have the same discussion in Norway? Or whatever country you're from? We see that. And I often get the question, so, okay, so is NSA in and poking in my mail? I don't know. I find it really hard to believe, but I don't know. I couldn't ensure you that no one could look in your data. Microsoft says they can't, and that's what I can trust. But I'm not really afraid of that. Of course, it could be used for industrial espionage or something, and that would be like really bad. But I'm not too concerned about it, actually. I am concerned that Anonymous or some other hacker organization wants to get my data. That's what I'm concerned about. And do I think I'm better protected on-prem than in Office 365? No. Absolutely not. I've been to quite a lot of...
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
It's not like it's not possible. It's just that it's not being done.
But an Exchange server on-prem, you certainly know where the data is.
Yes.
Right? You
Yep.
don't know that in Office 365.
But do you know where the data is? So I have an example. I did a demo, I think it was almost 10 years ago, where I said I can get in to any Exchange server that has port 25 open to it and is default installed. And that's still true today, even though it's a stupid example, but it's the fact that Exchange actually has authentication or SMTP enabled by default. And you can use that to brute force passwords. And yes, it's still there today, and should absolutely be turned off in all on-prem environments. And you don't have to be a rocket science to kind of think that in the IP area around that, and you can go for any account, like test with the password test, because people don't tend to think about the fact that as soon as I put a mailbox on the system, that's a user, and it can actually be accessed from outside our organization. And that's something people don't tend to think about. Oh, I just need a test account to send mail. Yes, but if I try to log on to test with authentication from anywhere, as long as I can reach port 25, and then there's probably a VPN solution of some kind around there, and then you escalate yourself, and then blah, blah, blah. So is it safer to have it on-prem? And I don't say that you have this simple environment, so you would, but there's a lot of things to think about in an on-prem environment. I bet, like, and I don't mean to point finger at anyone, but I bet like 90% of the audience here didn't know about what I just said, that you could actually brute force SMTP. And it's on by default. So, and that's not because you're stupid or anything, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying that for once, maybe it shouldn't be turned on by default. I've been arguing that for quite a while, that you could actually, because it's a security thing. But the thing is, this is really a good example of you don't know the total depth of a product, or some people do, but very few know exactly what a product. Exchange 2013 has over 40 million lines of code. To know all of that, that's pretty impressive. If you go with a cloud solution, do you have to know all that? Or do you people, great thinking, skilled people, have probably done that thinking job for you? And that's my argument, that's saying that in the vast majority of cases, I think a cloud solution is more secure. Not any cloud solution, but Microsoft Office 365, absolutely.
What I hear now, I hear that you tell me that Microsoft sells on-premise or not safe, unsafe Exchange servers because you need to be an expert to set them up or configure.
They are secure by default. That's something that the Exchange team says, and it is true. It's true. But if that also requires that you do everything by a best practice way. So if you would add an edge server to this scenario, then the whole scenario is broken. Then you can't do authentication against. So if you add any SMTP gateway to this scenario, well then my simple case isn't valid anymore. So no, I'm not saying that Exchange isn't secure. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that any product, the best firewall in the world is a Swiss cheese if you have a lousy administrator. There's no way of a product being better than the guy who administrates it. So that's what I'm saying. And the amount of administration you need to do in Office 365 is lower than on an on-prem. Yeah. So I'm not saying that you can't have a secure on-prem environment. That would be stupid of me. Any other questions? How are we on time? 2 minutes to go.
Question to the demo about multi-factor authentication.
Yes.
The user got prompted to configure the account for the first time.
Yes.
Enter the country and telephone number.
Yes.
So if you know the password, you can enter your own telephone number.
Of course. Yes.
So what I'm saying is, should you be able to sort of confirm that telephone number towards registering?
There is, well, if you do populate it with in your Active Directory and then use DearSync, then that's the phone number you will get.
Can you change it?
Yes, you can change it. So, yeah, but what I'm saying is we're choosing between username and password and then something extra. It's the same with all I showed about RMS, for example. Of course, I can take a photo of my screen and that mail will be visible in the picture. So, yes, but we can always find like holes in arguments.
Is it to overcome that? Just to say, if you have to pre-register the phone number that the user has to
Yeah.
use and can't change it.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion. I would love to see the possibility. it's not there today. But I would love to see that as a... Maybe you could actually do this. I'm thinking RBAC and some other stuff. It might be doable, but it's not there out of the box.
Now another goal, the confidential document are sent to Gmail, where you get a page and you're prompted to send a password, a one-time password,
Yeah.
and you get that password on the same email.
Yes, because it's the actually the email address is used as the part of the encryption key. That's how you decrypt it.
But if you have encrypted document and receive on the wrong, or if you have a wrongfully accessed that account, you can get the password to the same account as well.
Of course.
And then you can read it.
Yes, but we
I didn't see the point of that.
well, because the point is that it can't be read by anyone who catches this during transport. That's the case with encrypting email. So it's not an RMS protection, because we can say you couldn't forward it, because we could actually forward it, because the Gmail client or any other clients doesn't get the RMS protection. But if it would be forwarded, they can't read it. So it's, yes, there is, I say there's a strong point. It's only the one who could log into that mailbox who can read it. And we have to assume that people, if we don't assume that people take care of their passwords for their mailboxes, well, then we shouldn't send email at all. Okay, we're done. I will be outside. You're more than welcome to ask me other questions. I thank you very much. Thank you.